Hola, Mario. Where are we holding?
27.
Oh, I'm so far behind. Okay.
It's almost finished.
What can I do? Kind of missed this Masechta.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Sorry?
How are you?
Oh, more or less.
¿Cómo estás?
My knee's
Más o
killing me.
menos.
Huh?
¿Qué pasa? What happened? Anna gave you a knack?
I think I need a surgery.
Oh, no. I'm sorry.
My meniscus is...
Hello, Kenny. I missed you. Where have you been?
I know. I've been traveling and...
Living the good life, or what's the story here?
Montana, New York, you know the usual.
I was with your rabbi on the plane there and back.
Teretz Yisrael?
Yeah.
Nice.
I even got him through right away so that he wouldn't have to stand in line.
Listen, I'm sure you gave him your business ticket.
I would have upgraded him if there would have been room. But unfortunately, David, who took him, didn't, But,
Okay,
so,
good. My rabbi gets a mazel tov. He just closed on a house.
yeah, where?
Highland on my block. 2 houses north. Moses,
Nice.
if you remember Shalom Moses.
I remember Shalom Moses, yes.
So I got the kids to sell the Siegelmans, the parents' house.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't
You're
it?
a good boy.
I thought so.
You're a good boy. You paid for it too?
No,
Huh?
we have to pay him a salary. He's got buying his own house. What can I tell you?
Okay, that's a good thing.
Putting
Where's
down
that?
roots.
Meantime,
How was
I
Eretz
heard-
Yisrael?
I was there for 2.5 days. It was very stressful because there were a lot of tests that I had to go through, and
Why'd you just go for so short? ¿Qué pasa?
I just because whatever, it was 2.5 days. It's long enough to do whatever I had to do, so that's fine.
Okay.
Ernie,
Hello.
how are you? Please make the shir Zecher Nishmas Liebe Zelda Batzev to your side tonight. 8 years, and if
That's
you
your
can
mom?
make and if you can make the Tzurba shir the same, that would be great. And if you feel in your strength to come to Minyan tomorrow morning, we may need a Minyan, so we struggle today. So
Okay. The shir tonight, which will be Perek Shlishi, Elu Megalchin, Chav Zayin Amud Aleph, 27, is in the L'Zecher Nishmas Liebe Bazelda.
Liebe Zelda Batzev.
Liebe Zelda Bazev. Someone that many of us knew personally, was a wonderful matriarch of the Feinblum family, and her neshama should have an aliyah. When do you overturn the beds? From when you take the mace out of the house. No, when you, after the kvura. According to Rabbi Eliezer Shita, when they took Rabbi Gamliel Zaken out of the house, he told them to overturn the beds. However, when they buried him, Rabbi Yeshua, who was following the opinion, who followed his opinion, told them to overturn the bed now because the kvur has been done. We already followed the Hoira of Rabbi Eliezer. Torah Bonan. The dinim of Avelis start according to the Shulchan Aruch after the burial. Once you put the dirt, and it's above the tefach of the ground. Rabbanon, Memasai Zoikvin is a meter of bear of Shabbos. There's no Avelis on Shabbos, so when do you put the mitos upright? Minamin Cholamala. And Amra Bavuna for Pichen in Yoshev Alachatechra, but you don't sit on it on the upright mita until nightfall, till Shabbos. Motzei Shabbos, Aval Pishen Lo Leishev Eliyomechad, even though there's only one more day of Avelis, Choizer for Koifa, you have to turn the bed upside down. Tan Rabbanon, a Koifa mitosoi. Besides your bed, Lo mitosu bilvadu Koifa, Elo kol mitos sheyesh lo b'soch besu Koifa. He has to do all the sofas and the beds in the house. Vafilu yesh lo eser mitos basar makoyma, is Koifa eskulon. If he has 10 beds in 10 different rooms, he has to overturn all of them. Chamisha achinu meisecha, there's 5 brothers and one died. Kulan koifin, they all have to do it. The ma'isa mitam yucheres lekelim. It's not a mita that people sleep on, but it's, they put tchotchkes on it for display. Ein tzorach lekfoisa. That kind of bed you don't have to overturn. Dargash, which we'll see, it's like a mazel bed. Ein tzarach likfoisa, elazoik for you keep it upright. There are strings that hold it up. You undo the strings and it falls by itself. My dargash, what's a dargash? Amra, ula, arsa de gada. It's a mazel bed. It was, they used to keep this kind of bed all decorated up for mazel. Nobody would actually use it in terms of function. What about a king? This not. If he's a novel, everybody's on the ground. He sits on the darkish. Understand? By Avelis, what he normally doesn't sit on anything, and this he sits on. What do you mean? Why not? Up until now, we didn't, Melech ate of his own food. We didn't feed him and give him drink. But now he's an oven. We give him food and give him drink. So the situation changes. So Eli Kasha, you have a Kasha regarding the Dargash, Ha Kasha. This not. Dargash, and it's you don't have to overturn the Dargash. You have to put it upright. If it's a mazel bed, why don't you have to put it down? Hatnan. Including this. Afraid the Gemara, what do you mean? We already said that there's an exclusion, that you have a mita that is only to put decorations on. The Tanya might say mita because of kelim ain't a so dargish bed's gonna be the same thing. Eli kasha hakasha. Dargash matir karbita v'noifel. You untie the ropes and it falls. My karbitin is like. What is this? A mazel bed wouldn't have that. So now we'll get a better understanding of a darkish. He was in the market of the Gildoim. My dargish, arsa ditzala. It's a leather bed, and it's roped. There's like ropes that connect this leather to the sides of the wood. And the rope doesn't go on the outside of the round wooden pole. They drill holes in the pole through and through, and they thread the rope through the hole. That's a dargash. Mita sirug al gaba, but a bed, the rope goes over the board. That if the sticks of the bed stick out a lot, and therefore if you turn it on its side, it's going to be even higher. You just put it upright, and that's enough. If a person decides as an Avel to sleep in a chair or on some kind of pillow on the ground or on the ground itself, you have to sleep on a Kfiyas Amita. Otherwise, lo yotze dechavos. On Rav Yichton, shlokayim Kfiyas Amita. Torah Rabbanan mechadin barbitz beis Avel. You can sweep and you can rinse the floor, mop the floor in the Beis Avel. Madichin karts for koises tzlichos v'kitonis Beis Avel. You can wash the dishes. Ve'nevinas amugmer v'sapsam Beis Avel. You don't bring they used to have perfume at the table for good smelling. That you don't do. Whereas Zaini, it's not so. Vatani bar kabayim mevarchin lo lamugmer v'lo lapsamim. You don't make a bracha. Bruchi u'lam varchin hasui ma'isinan. But these things were brought. In the Beis Avel, you don't bring it. In the place where the Menachamim are dwelling, that you can bring psalmim, but you don't make a brach on it. Mishnah. In Moelich leBeis Avel lo betavlov lo biskultav lo bekamim. When we're talking about the Sudas Havra, after the Kvura, you had a Suda with the Avel. You didn't do it on a small table or on a plate, on a basket. Ella besalim, you brought the food in baskets. There's a brach, birchas avelim, you don't say it chol hamoed. Aval oimdim b'shura, but you do a shura, a parallel line, chol hamoed. Umenachamim, you say amokim menachem. Upoiter nesarabim, and this shura will be part to the rest of the public, and they can now go home and they will participate in the Nichum Avelim. During a regular weekday, they would put the coffin in the middle of the street. But on Chol Hamoed, they didn't do that. They would never put the coffin of a woman in the street because she might drip blood. So it's a bizoyan for her. So they would never do that. Ton Rabbanon. Brishona Yumalich Vesavel Ashirim Bekloiser Shel Kesef Shel Zav. They would bring the Sudas Avrov, rich people would bring silver and gold in baskets. Vaniyim Besaling Na'arim Shel Arava Klufa. Poor people would bring a basket made of willow. Ayonim is Baishim. The Aniyim were embarrassed. So it became standard that everybody brought in willow branches. They would give the Avel to drink Ashim Bischuchus Levon, a very expensive white glass. Aniyim Bischuchus Tzvot, Aniyim would give colored glass. Vayonim is Baishim. And the poor people were embarrassed. So they made that everyone brings colored glass. When they buried, they would have an open face coffin. And the wealthy people would show their face because it was usually Oska Fressen and it was a nice face. But they were covered the aniyim because they were green, schwarz, they were tired out. And therefore, you aniyim is baishim. So the rule was that they covered everybody's face. That's the halacha. They would take out the ashim in this fancy dargash. The aniyim b'chlicha. Aniyim, just a very, just a basic coffin. Aniyim is baishim. So the concept was that everybody comes out in a basic coffin. People who died of intestinal illnesses, so they smelled. So they would put a spice in their coffin. However, the people who were sick but alive with intestinal illnesses were embarrassed. So So the halacha was they put mugmar under everybody's coffin. That any kli that touched a woman who was nida, who died, they'd have to do tvila. Why you nidus chayos mizbaishos? The nidos who were alive were embarrassed. They So the rule is you do tvila for everybody, for every woman. If a zav died during his zivus, so then anything that touched his thing would also require tefillah. So again, not to embarrass anybody, they did it for everybody. When they quoted shel zavim chaim. The burial was so expensive that the relatives would leave the mace and run away. There would be no one to bury it. The tachrichin were made out of simple linen, flax. And the nagwa machrav, let's say, that became the minig. Even something worth just a penny. The tachrichin are very simple garments, even the Gedolei Yisrael. We said you don't put the coffin in the middle of the street and make a hesped there. Amrav Papa an Chol Moed. Amrav Papa ein Moed b'fnei Talmid Chacham. A Talmid Chacham though you would put in the street. Chol Moed. The Kol Shekin Chanukah Purim. And same thing if the bear was Chanukah Purim, same thing. Hanimile b'fanav. That's if you were there with the mace. But shaloi b'fanav lo. But if you're making a hesped somewhere where he's not there, then you don't do it in the street. Eini. Or it says Eini. Rav Kana Safti Rav Zvid min Ardoba Pum Nara. Rav Kana made a hesped in a different city. Amrav Papi Yom Shmu Ahava. It was the day he heard about the death, the kifan of dummy, and that's treated like kifan of. Amar ula hesped alev. You have to hack your heart. T'chsiv al shadayim shoiftim, like on your breast. Tipuach is with your hand. Kiluas is with the regel. Torabarim akalis like kalis pesandal. This was some kind of you stamp the ground with your foot. So lo yikal, you shouldn't do it with a sandal. Ela b'mina with a shoe. Because you could damage your foot. The Ovel gives a hint with his head, then the Menachem don't sit next to him. Everyone has to stand up if a Nasi arrives. An Ovel does not, and a Chola does not. To your friend who comes to visit you, you say, for COVID, sit down. But to an Ovel or to a Chola, you don't say shvu. If they stood up, they don't need a special rishus to set. They can sit by themselves without being told shvu. We're talking about if there's not a gadol there. First day of Avelis, he cannot eat his own bread. You have to bring him bread. The Torah says about Yecheskel, when he was an Avel, don't eat bread of other people. But everybody else would have to eat bread of other people. He didn't. Rabbi Rav Yosef would change sudas with each other if they became avelim. There's a halacha that if there's a mace to be buried and he hasn't been buried yet, nobody can work. There's an isra malacha. Rav Amnuna ikla dramusa shama kol shipur deshachla. He went to the city, he heard shofar blowing, which implied that there was a mace. And he saw people working. We have to put you into cherem. You're not allowed to work if there's a mace. Lo shachva ikke b'masa, there's a mace in the city. Amrulei, chavurta ikke b'masa. There's a chaver kadisha. There's a special group that takes care of mesim. So this halacha allows us to work if there's a chaver kadisha. That's the whole point of having a chaver kadisha. If a person mourns too much, Hashem is going to make it so that you can end up crying over another mace. So don't carry on too much. There was a woman in the neighborhood of Ravuna, she had 7 sons. One of the sons passed away. She wailed without stopping. Ravuna said, stop it. She didn't listen. If you stop, fine. Go prepare tachrichin for another mace. And all the 7 sons died. Prepare tachrich for you. And she died. What's the pshat? Al tivkul mace yosemi die. Don't cry too much. Valtanudu yosemi shmikashir. Haketza, what's the shear? Shloisha yomim lebechi. Crying is the first 3 days. To give a haspedim, shiva lesped. Shloishim is legiutz. You can't iron and you can't have a haircut for 30 days. That's the get there. Don't be more compassionate or merciful than me. This was a pshat that you only went to be menachem with somebody who didn't have children. Then there was nobody to be menachem him. Special need to be menachem. In fact, Rabbi Shimon Levi that he didn't go to a base ovel, somebody who passed away without children. This doesn't refer to that. This refers to a person who did an aver and repeated it. Somebody repeated aver hutrula, it becomes like permitted. Hutrula, look at that. It's not halachically hutrula. It becomes like Pavlov's dogs. It becomes as if it's a heter. An ovel has to worry about his own life. First 3 days, as if like a sword is between his thighs. As if there's a sword pointing from the corner. Beyond 7 days, it's like the danger of passing through a marketplace, but it's like a regular. It's not too much of a terror. Okay, we'll stop here. I will call back at 8 o'clock. We'll start the Tzur Bashir at 8 o'clock.